Hello, everyone, and welcome to another WSI Digital Marketing webinar. Before we kick off, let's just do a quick sound check to make sure we're coming through all right. If you can just use the question box to let us know that you can hear me, see me on screen, see our slides, that would be great. Okay, great. So thank you again for joining our latest WSI Digital Marketing webinar entitled 5 Ways to Digitally Transform Your Business in 2021. My name is Cheryl Baldwin. I'm the Director of Marketing and Communications at WSI Corporate's head office, and I'll be your host today. Now, before we dive into the presentation, I'd like to go over a couple of housekeeping items. Yes, I know we've even already had questions around this. Yes, the webinar will be recorded and we will share that recording with you later on today after the webinar is done. You'll also get a copy of the slide deck too, so stay tuned for that coming with the webinar recording. As with all of our webinars, we will be doing a Q&A session. We do this Q&A session at the end of the presentation. So as questions pop up as you're listening to our speaker today, just type them into the question box and we'll try to get to as many as we can in the 45 minutes that we have with you today. We do have a number of people joining from across the world. Sometimes audio issues can happen as a result. So when in doubt, try logging out and logging back in or switching to the phone options. There's a number of phone options available to you. Now, just some quick info on WSI. We've been around for just over 25 years and we've helped over 100,000 businesses with their digital marketing strategies. We know that whether you're new, just starting out a business, or you've been established for a long time, that digital marketing can be a complex environment to navigate. And we're really here to help you navigate through that level of complexity. And one of the ways we do that is just by educating you on digital marketing through webinars like these and sharing best practices. As I mentioned, our session today will focus on the topic of digital transformation, which actually is a very hot topic around companies all over the place. And with ongoing advancements in technologies plus shifts in customer behavior accelerated by COVID, really your customers are becoming more digitally conscious than ever. And by that, I just mean that they're paying attention to what your presence is like online more than they ever have before. And as a result, are constructing their first impression of your organization based on the overall digital experience they're having with you online. How well are you educating them on your products and services on your website? Are you answering their common questions and solving those problems for them? What's your email marketing strategy like? And are those messages targeted and relevant to them? And what are other people saying about you online? Really, being online is so much more than just having a website. And so today we'll be getting into that with the customer in mind, which leads me to being very excited to introduce you to our speaker today. We have Kelly Biggs joining us, one of our very own WSI consultants. And in addition to being a valued member of our network, Kelly has over 20 years of sales and marketing experience. Over this time, she has garnered many awards in sales and marketing in working with companies that are not only small to medium-sized business, but as well as Fortune 500 companies. I know she's super excited about sharing and talking about this concept of digital transformation with you today. So without further ado, I'm going to welcome our webinar presenter, Kelly Biggs, and pass it over to you.
Hi, WSI and family. Thanks for coming, and Cheryl, thanks so much for inviting me. I am delighted to have an opportunity to speak on a topic that I'm very passionate about, digital transformation. Today, my objective is to talk about digital transformation. We're going to define it. We're going to determine if it's something that you should do for your business. We'll talk about the 5 ways to digitally transform your business, and then we'll do a recap and summary. We all know that 2020 was a monumental year, to say the least. And the general consensus there is that in many ways, it accelerated what was inevitable. And I find that especially true in the digital marketing space. Having a digital marketing presence moved quickly from a nice to have to a need to have. And I'm sure many of you found yourself in the situation of the picture on the right. I'm sorry, the left. Let's start there first. Where you were ready to start your digital transformation journey, but then once you started, you moved to the right, which the road just looked a little daunting and overwhelming, and you might have even wondered if it made sense for you to even start. So before we determine if you should transform your business, let's just get really clear about defining what digital transformation is. So according to superoffice.com, the definition is it integrates digital technology into all business, resulting in fundamental changes in how a business operates and the value they deliver to the customer. The key here is this last sentence that's highlighted in blue. Transformation is driven by customers, not your business. Let me say that again. Transformation is driven by customers, not your business. We must always lead with the customer experience in mind, and that will be a recurring theme today. So how do I know if I should digitally transform my business? Really, what we want to start is these are just 3 indications. It's not meant to be exhaustive, but definitely if you're thinking about these 3, there are indications. So 1, you've noticed a decrease or a lack of referrals to your business. Now, nobody should be relying 100% on referrals, but if you're finding that that's a main source of your business and it is dropping off, then you're going to need another lead generation source. And digital is a really smart place to turn, especially in this COVID environment. Number 2, your repeat business is falling off. So you're seeing a decrease in your existing customers wanting to engage with your business. And then number 3 is your technology feels old. Now that one is a bit more nebulous, so I want to talk you through how you might assess that. One way is just grab out your cell phone and type in your URL and figure out what that experience is like. Here are some of the things you might want to look for. Was it slow to load? Did you notice that the words didn't fit on the screen? Or did you have to pinch any images so that they did fit on the screen? If so, these are indications, and this is how a visitor is experiencing your brand on mobile. And mobile is more and more increasing as an interaction for digital. There are many dimensions to digital transformation. Again, keeping with the process and the thought flow of the customer in mind, this is a visual depiction of how a customer's end-to-end process flow with you on digital. If I only had one chart to share today, this would be the chart that I share. So let me kind of take you through it. I'm going to go through the numbers inside of each hexagon. And really, if I had a word outside of the first one, it would be strangers, because what you're trying to do is attract strangers to your business and turn those strangers into prospects. And then you want to convert those prospects into, when they become visitors, you want to convert them into leads, which brings us to number 3. And then you want to close the leads and then turn those leads then into customers. So now we're at number 4, where you want to delight your customers, because you either want them to be repeat customers or raving fans, so that they are promoting your business, which brings us to the hexagon number 5. And you just want to measure what's going on. So assess what's happening. How, are the things that you're doing going well? Are they not? Double down on the things that are, iterate or abandon the things that are not. And so then underneath each process, what you'll see are supporting digital marketing strategies. And so it's not, again, meant to be an exhaustive list by any stretch of the imagination. However, these were the ones that I selected because they had a lower cost to entry and or they were going to be really good with ROI. So I kept ROI in mind. So we can move on. And if you want to attract prospects, I really urge you to consider inbound marketing, and let's talk about why. Here are a few statistics sourced by smallbusinessgenius.com. It takes 5 to 7 impressions for people to remember your brand. So what does this mean? This means you're going to need multiple touch points in your strategy. And inbound marketing really does support this thought process. Also, presenting your brand in a consistent manner, no matter what platform you choose, can increase your revenues by up to 23%. And then finally, what we found is that brands that blog regularly generate 67% more leads than those that don't. So again, to make sure we're on the same page, let's talk about what inbound marketing is. It is a marketing technique that draws prospects or really strangers to your website or owned assets, right? And then it highlights the importance of content creation to attract customers and move them through your sales funnel. Now, the picture that we see over to the right is different tactics that you can use within inbound marketing. So you could use social or SEO or PPC. But what you really are trying to think of, remember, we want to attract strangers to your brand so they become prospects. So if I'm posting on social, I'm really trying to figure out, what do I want to do by this post? Is it to raise awareness? Is it to get them to my website? Is it to get them to my landing page? What am I trying to do? And then when they get there, what is it that I want them to do? Now, as you can see, there's a lot of overlap between whatever platform you're engaged in. So for example, if we were to look at keyword research, let's take that. What we see is that it impacts SEO, PPC, website, landing pages, and I would even say social as well. Again, we want to maintain a consistent message so the results add value to our prospects. And the goal is really, we want to engage them with your brand and ultimately increase your revenues, which is what everybody wants, right? So here are some pro tips and takeaways that you can have as you're thinking about if you want to start with inbound marketing. 1, understand who your target market is, and I suggest really building out a buyer persona, and you can work with your IC on that. But before you launch any inbound marketing campaign, the time you do to establish your personas is really important. Next, make sure you're leveraging keyword research. It will increase your SEO and also the marketability of your content. So just a little research on the front end. And then you want to show up where your customers are. What do I mean by that? If you're going after millennials, you definitely want to be on Instagram. If you're servicing B2B customers, you want to make sure that you have a presence on LinkedIn and also Twitter, right? Okay, so let's spend a few moments on converting visitors. When someone visits your website, the ultimate goal is to convert them into leads and then ultimately clients. So why should you focus on conversion though? The answer is really quite simple. It will increase your ROI. So let's think about traffic to your website. If you're trying to get more leads, there's really only 2 ways to do that. 1, we can focus on bringing in more traffic to your website, or 2, increasing the conversion rate of the ones that are visiting. So I want to walk you through this chart. The first is that you've done your research and you know that for each visitor that comes, about 10 of those then becomes valuable leads for your organization. And so you decide you want to double that number. And so what you would do then, if you were traffic focused, is you look at some of those inbound techniques that we talked about before, and you drive more traffic to your website. Then you would convert the same amount, which is 10%, and now you got double the leads because you brought in double the traffic. Makes a lot of sense. Now, with conversion in mind, though, what we're doing is we're really looking at that user experience when they're engaging with us. We're changing our website to optimize it to actually get the visitors to do exactly what we want them to do. So now we can turn them into leads. And so you spend time, you do the research, and you're able to now increase that conversion rate to 20%. Guess what? You have the same amount of traffic, but you get more leads because you've concentrated on doubling that. And I really do like to say that this is the gift that keeps on giving, because now you can focus on traffic and you'll convert even more of those, right? So as you see over to the right, that only 68% of the businesses, 68% don't focus on CRO. And I'm absolutely convinced that this is a game changer, and spending time here is going to grow your business. So this chart is a lot of words on this chart, I know. So let me just start with I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the left. In November, we did a really deep dive webinar on conversion rate optimization. And if this is something that you think aligns really well with your business, I highly suggest going back and revisiting that webinar. But in it, we talked about that conversion rate optimization, or CRO, is the intersection of user intent, company goals, and website experience. It's the intersection of that. But as a pro tip, you decided, I want to get started there. How do I get started? One thing that I suggest that you do is to install some software to see how your users are actually using or interfacing with your website. One that you can use is Hotjar. In fact, you can load that free initially. And then as you find value in it, then you can get a more paid and in-depth look at what people are doing when they're visiting your website. Number two, you really want to look and create content with the user in mind, right? I just make sure that when you are creating content that you are adding value. You want to connect with your prospects and you want to be relatable. You do not want to be salesy. Even though the goal is to convert them into a sale, you can relate to them and show them what they're going to get out of their interaction with you versus the other way around. And then the third one, and this is key, is just movement on your website, especially the first page is not good. It detracts from actually converting visitors into what you want to do. So what I'm specifically want, a specific example would be you load a web page and you're starting to read, then all of a sudden a picture moves and you're going to be distracted. And just think of it this way, your goal was not for your client or prospect to see a whole bunch of pictures. Your goal was to get them to either for you to capture their information or get them to buy something from you, right? So just keep that in mind. Now, let me move to the third way to digitally transform your business, closing leads. So really, once you've captured your prospects in marketing or sales funnel, you now want to put your efforts into making them become customers. And so I've really collapsed the two on this particular chart, marketing automation and sales automation, to really highlight what the benefits of automation in general are. So first is creating workflows in advance for repeatable processes. Let me explain. So you know that you drive a customer to your website, you are trying to get them to download, let's just say, a white paper, for instance. They download the white paper, and when they do so, you've asked for their credentials, so you get an email address. You want to immediately send them an email saying, thank you. So you can create that in automations and workflows. Beyond that, you can also have them have another email maybe a week later to say, hey, did you see this new blog? And again, you're just creating workflows to make it more simple for you. You also are able, when you have it automated, to pinpoint different KPIs so that you can really increase your ROI. The third point here is you're also able to enhance the user experience. There I go again, but it's really important, and you can personalize it, which is key, even now more than ever. People want to be intimate with your brand. And also, you want to increase efficiencies in your sales efforts. And we'll talk a bit more about that. So here are the two funnels. So think of the first funnel as email automation. Email automation is really an expensive way to begin your marketing automation. It focuses on nurturing those top of the funnel leads and taking them down until they become marketing qualified leads and finally sales qualified leads. So that's a lot of marketing jargon. Let me tell you what I mean by that. So you want to build awareness. So maybe you created a marketing campaign and now you're just moving everybody through that funnel and you're just nurturing them along the way till you get to a point where, look, if I've touched somebody 5 times and they're interacting and opening the emails, they're a pretty warm lead. And I'm ready to turn that over to my sales team. And so then your sales team gets the leads. The CRM, which is a customer relationship management system, allows them to now have a lead, understand who they are, and then they are able to capture their interaction with said lead. Maybe the first step is they're just going to give them a call. Maybe they want to offer a demo or have a meeting with them. Anyway, they're walking them through the sales funnel so that they know at the end, they have an established process to get them to be a closed lead. So here are some of the ways that you can employ, or some of the ways you can start to employ using either of these automation tools. I am not going to go really far in depth in email because, as luck would have it, next month that is going to be the topic of our discussion. So I highly encourage you, if you want to learn more about email automation, to attend that webinar. But with email, you want to start with an intriguing subject line. Also, you want to personalize your email. People love and open more subject lines that have their first name in it. Make sure you're mentioning the purpose. People are really busy, and so you've just invaded my time. Why? That's what I want to know. Get to the why really quickly. Add a call to action, and then just make sure you're focusing on the reader. And so now I'm going to move on to what the benefits are, some pro tips of engaging a CRM tool. This is my passion because sales has been my life for over 20 years. But with a good quality CRM tool, what you're able to do is to really understand the process of your sales. You'll know how long your sales cycles are. You'll know what stages, and not only you, but everybody in your organization knows what it means when you say, hey, that deal is in the discovery stage, or hey, that deal is in the proposal stage. Everybody knows. And then if you have a big sales team, you want to have a weekly cadence. Make sure that that cadence is not punitive because you'll end up getting, bad results. Nobody wants to be yelled at, but understood. And so what you're able to identify if you have a really solid CRM process is what the sales stages are. If something has stalled, are you having a problem with personnel? Do you need to invest in some training? Or are you having a problem with lead gen? Implementing this will really tell you that. So just make sure you're evaluating the data without too much judgment there. And all of these actions quite naturally lead to delighting your customers through reputation management. So let's talk about that. Your online reputation is extremely important, yet most businesses do leave this to chance. So here's some statistics that I want to share with you. 79% of your customers trust online reviews as much as they do personal recommendations. So even if you're a referral business, just know that people are still going online to you, looking and seeing what your reviews are there. Also, this one is important. A Google scores of about 4.2 to 4.6% are really strong. I know everybody's striving for that perfect 5, but just understand you look a little more real if you're less than 5. And also there's some opportunities there that we'll discuss. 86% of customers only pay attention to reviews that were written in the last 3 months, which means that there is a recency effect. So on the next chart, what we see is that what you want to do is to create an online reputation management system. And all that means is you're going to take control of your online conversations between your business and potential customers. How do you do this? You're going to set up a process end to end where you are actually going after reviews, right? So that you will determine, maybe it's in a thank you email, but you really want to get those people who are really pleased with your business to review it. You want to make sure that you respond to all those reviews within 24 hours, and then you're going to measure and improve. And what I specifically mean by that is a bad review is not the end of the world. It's an opportunity for you. You might be able to identify that you have some broken processes within your system, and or you might have a personnel issue. So just take that as such. And so here's some pro tips that I'll go over with you, is that while everybody wants the 5-star review, a bad review isn't horrible, because a lot of times what visitors are looking for is to see, how did you handle that adverse situation? Did you respond? Were you human in your response? And then just make sure, just know that customers are more likely to report negative. So prompting the good reviews is a best practice. And then I just want to repeat, 79% of the people trust an online review as much as they do a referral. So just want to keep that in mind. And the biggest bang of all might come from the next chart, which is measuring your business. And so here are some reasons to measure your business through analytics. Okay, you want to monitor performance. It shows you how well you're doing. You want to make sure you can use this data that you collect to set your overall strategy. And then you're able to understand your clients. As I mentioned before, the more personal you can be with your clients, the better your business is going to perform. You can also identify shifts in the market early on rather than lagging indicators. And then finally, you're able to have a really good grasp on your ROI. Digital marketing is very well positioned for you to be able to say, hey, I invested this much and I got this much out of it. So it's really great that way, and using analytics is key to doing that. So let's talk about the tools that you can use to measure these efforts. I'm not going to go through each one of them just in a consideration of your time today, but what I'm saying is, no matter which platform you chose to engage your customers, clients, prospects, that you want to be able to measure how that's working for you and your business. And here's just some examples of some of the initial measurements you might want to look at. So for instance, for website analytics, and I'm thinking for the most part, we're talking about Google Analytics. What you would want to do is to start to look at, how many website visitors am I getting? And then you want to be able to say, well, did they complete the goals that I had for them? Meaning you need to set some goals, right? And then also, who were my referring domains? Meaning what channels got them to my website? And then finally, who are my people? Are they more women? Are they older leaning? Are they younger leaning? Just really understanding that. And then I'll move to social. If your presence is on social right now, here are some of the things that you may want to look at there. How many followers? I think most people do know that anyway. But as you're posting things, what kind of engagement am I getting? And then looking at the post impressions there. And so we'll move to the pro tips, which is my pro tip is install Google Analytics if you haven't already on your website. And when you do, they have some reports in there called the ABC reports that we refer to. And it just really tells you, how did I acquire this customer? Like what led them to my website? And then what did they do when they get there? And then was I able to convert them? Right. And so, and even if you don't have an e-commerce website, you still should be, there's a purpose to your website. And did you get them to do that? And then you'll want to start with simple measurements and ask, just as you look through some of those measurements, just ask yourself, what is this telling me? Or does this make sense? And what, if anything, should I do about that? And then finally, this is key, don't get too anxious. If you look at something from month to month and you see a big shift, just be patient, be aware of it, but be patient. And I say it takes three data points to form a trend, meaning let's just make sure it's actually a trend and it wasn't some anomaly before you go changing things. Because what happens is then your strategy gets off key because you haven't set a strategy. You're doing different tactics from month to month to month, right? And so in summary, we've learned about 5 ways that you can digitally transform your business: inbound marketing, conversion, automation, reputation management, and measurement. Now, the ball is in your court. Determine if you're ready to start digital transformation. Set an overall strategy, assess tactical gaps that you may have, and then just choose 1 or 2 and start.
Great. Thank you so much, Kelly. A lot of great information you shared there, and we've already got some great comments and questions coming through. But before I move on to Q&A, I kind of wanted to piggyback on your last comment about choosing 1 to 2 tactics and getting started. And some of you may be wondering, well, how do I know where to get started? And so the good news is that we've created a WSI Digital Transformation Gap Analysis doc that will help you kind of understand where your organization's marketing and even customer or sales processes may be falling short online. And it's really meant to help you document the gaps in your current strategies and outline your desired state of digital transformation, as well as prioritizing where you need to focus based on all of that. And so this tool will help you basically take what you learned here today to make out a more formalized plan, a little bit on where you should be getting started. And so from there, you may require a more comprehensive digital marketing strategy, which we call a digital marketing blueprint, which will just enable you to take what you've outlined in your gap analysis and put it into motion. So both of these are very much available to you through your WSI consultant that referred you to this webinar. So reach out to them if you would love to get your hands on a complimentary copy of our digital gap analysis. If you aren't currently working with the WSI consultant, reach out to us, contact@wsiworld.com. We'll make sure we put you in touch with someone so you can get those resources. Okay, I wanted to get into Q&A now. And one of the things, actually, we had an interesting question here, and it's going back to the CRO element, or the conversion rate optimization, because we even got that question. What does CRO mean? Conversion rate optimization. And Heather's asking, just maybe if you can expand, what technique provides more qualified leads, traffic or conversion focused approach?
It's a great question. I would say conversion. And the reason that is because it's the gift that keeps on giving, in my opinion, right? So if you have optimized your website to get the desired amount, to get the desired, what you want people to do, so whatever that goal is, and you've really taken an in-depth look, and if you're working with an IC, we use heat maps, and we're really very cognizant of what it is you're trying to do, and then does this website do that, so that you're increasing the number of conversions that you're getting. Now, then, and I'm going to say it's an and. Now, there's only so much that you can do from a conversion perspective. So once you've optimized that and you still find like you need more leads, then you'll want to go to traffic based. But I would start with conversion rate optimization.
Awesome. We have a question here from Colleen, and she's just asking, what if people or teams work in kind of silos? And we know that can happen, right? Like sales team works over here, marketing team works over here, communication team, there's all different silos depending on the business. How do you get a whole picture view from all the different people that touch the user perspective? What's that best strategy?
Yeah, that's an excellent question, Colleen. What I would say is no one department should start your digital marketing plan. Get everybody in the room, virtual or not, but as you started, get everybody's input because that's just going to be more valuable on the back end. So what I might see as a sales rep might be completely different than what my delivery person might see. And then just having those conversations, maybe quarterly, makes a lot of sense. And then you can start to, one, increase collaboration. And even one other thing you may do is want to have a collaboration tool like a Slack or something along that, just to encourage. I think the more collaboration you can have, the better. And sometimes you do have to force that. So like I say, even if it's just an hour-long meeting that's maybe after hours, and just getting, knowing what, hey, today we're going to talk about this one topic, and then you can start that going. So I would say to collaborate, encourage in collaboration, even if you are working in silos, because you're missing out on some synergies that are there and wasting some efforts.
Awesome. We have a question from David. This is a little bit more specific, but kind of is maybe around a little bit on the inbound marketing approach. And he's saying, what are your thoughts on placing a small video of my company on our website page, like a short one, I guess, to maybe explain what the company is?
Yeah, video is the way to go. You just want to smartly place it, right? So when I say things that are moving or distracting, a smartly placed video, especially, I'm not sure what line of business you're in, David, but if what you're doing is a bit more nebulous, a video helps, and maybe it's a step-by-step guide. And other videos that are really powerful even are like on your about page and doing something a bit more personal. Really just keeping in mind, people buy from people they know, like, and trust. Video actually moves that ball forward. You just want to be careful and make sure that what you're doing is not distracting, but it's additive.
For sure. It's helping them make a decision, right? I mean, if it's e-commerce, a lot of times product videos can be help in demonstrating the products, or even setting expectations on what happens after they fill out your form. What can they expect from you afterwards? It just makes people feel more comfortable.
Absolutely.
I'm just going through here. Oh, Louis brings up a good comment. And so he's saying, so everything looks great, decide you're ready, strategy, you've outlined your gaps. Where does the budget conversation come into play? And how you prioritize that? And how do you discuss that with clients?
Yeah, that's a very fair question. And one, I do think you should have a budget. So let's talk about what your digital marketing budget should be. According to studies, that whatever revenues that you're bringing in, and if you're a startup, you gotta earmark some things for digital. You have to, but you should be able to look at your revenues. And so from your revenues, 8% of your revenues should go to marketing. And I'm not just talking about digital marketing, but 8% of your revenues should go to marketing. And of that, we're seeing a trend of about 50%, and sometimes it's upticking even more because of the situation that we're in today. So you're thinking if you want to do it, that's a roundabout way to get there. But 4% of your budget should be investing. And I say this all the time to clients, it is an investment in your business. But I understand budget is budget is budget, but just understand that you are going to see some really strong ROI. I've seen numbers of anywhere between $3 to $5 for every one marketing dollar will generate revenue. So it is an investment, but if you're trying to get a guideline on what your budget should be, that's my guideline for you.
Awesome. And Jorge is asking a question specifically around CRM and how you might be able to determine which CRM program, I'm assuming system, for a B2B sales team may be, how they could determine what that would look like.
Yeah, it's a great question. I've worked with several CRMs, so HubSpot, I've worked with Salesforce. It just really does depend on the size of your sales force, what you need to do to them. You know, if you're talking about HubSpot is a little more affordable, and I think a great for small medium business, a great place to start. But it's research. They all have different value systems. And in fact, there are some out there that have kind of combined so that you can do both email and sales automation. So you may want to look into that. For the most part, the reviews I've read are most of them do well with either one or the other, but it's just a matter of sitting down, assessing, you know, what you're trying to get it to do, and then picking the right platform. So there's several out there. It just depends on what you're trying to identify and how you're trying to collaborate with your team and what you need to know and how you need to nurture your clients. And if you're also going to use that system after they become clients, to nurture them because it's a customer relationship tool.
Yeah.
So then you want to be able to use it later, even in your delivery process.
For sure. I mean, if you guys ever have questions around tech or what could be, you know, suitable for your business, again, that's where your WSI consultant can definitely help you out and guide you in the right direction. But sometimes having that marry between email automation and sales automation is a nice thing to have, so everything's right within one system. We're getting some good questions just around, can I obtain a copy of the presentation? So it looks like we're getting some great comments just on what you delivered. And of course, yes, guys, we will make the recording of this webinar available as well as a copy of the slides to you. We'll be emailing you this information probably about a couple hours after the webinar, so you have access to it. And again, if you need a copy of your the gap analysis, reach out to your WSI consultant. Just wanting to respect everyone's time. If we didn't get to your question today, don't worry. Make sure you reach out too. We can help you, point you in the right direction and answer those as well. So just to kind of summarize and kind of close out, again, if you want to learn any more about digital marketing, we've written a book on the topic as well, and so please check out our book, Digital Minds, on Amazon. It's available to you, you know, Kindle, however you want to read it, paperback, and so it's a great resource. It takes you through a lot of different concepts of digital marketing. It's a nice read for the transformation process and the different ways you can do that. But and as well, more webinars coming your way this year to help you learn about different tactics. So I just want to thank Kelly so much for taking her time here today to share her expertise, walk you through a really comprehensive process. And thank you all for joining us as well. You took time out of your busy schedule to listen to what we had to say, and we appreciate that. When you leave this session, there will be a brief survey that pops up just to ask for your feedback on the session today, maybe some topics you want to learn about in the future. So please take some time to complete that. And as Kelly mentioned earlier, our next webinar in February is going to be on email marketing best practices. And so if you're interested in that, stay tuned for all of our invites, our social posts on how you can register for that on February 24th. That one will be happening. So thanks again, everyone. From ourselves at WSI, we wish everyone a very great rest of the day, And we look forward to seeing you next time on a WSI Digital Marketing webinar. Bye all.
Bye-bye.